Brown rice versus white rice. Which one is healthier? Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about 5 differences between brown rice and white rice so that you can know the answer to that question for good. Konnichiwa, if we haven't met before, my name is Pat Tokuyama and I help people learn how to cook plant-based Japanese food. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up now or before you finish watching it. And the reason I ask is because it helps to reach more people just like you and also help my channel grow. And if you're interested in learning about plant-based Japanese food with video cooking lessons as well as Japanese recipes, check the link in the description. True or false? Brown rice is a whole grain and white rice is not. Let me know in the comments right now or make notes and we'll answer that question in just a few seconds. So as you may know, a whole grain contains 3 parts of a grain to make it a whole grain, and that is going to be defined starting from the outside, the bran, which is the outer shell of the grain. And you may have known what bran tastes or feels like, the texture of it, if you've ever had bran muffins, which tend to be relatively hearty. Whole grains are also composed of the germ. The germ is the little nutritious component which gives rise to a brand new baby plant, akachan, akambo. The third component of a whole grain is going to be the endosperm, which contains most of the carbohydrates and the starches that are used by the baby plant to grow. So if you answered true to the question, brown rice is a whole grain. It contains all 3 components, the bran, the endosperm, as well as the germ, making it a whole grain. Good for you. So now that you know what makes a whole grain, let's talk about brown rice versus white rice. So now you know white rice is basically the endosperm, or the food that would have been used for the baby plants, and is now food for you if you're eating white rice, that is. Like stealing from a baby, literally. Hidoi yo, sore. Hidoi. And just to give you a little, I guess, anecdote, in Japan in ancient times, or maybe not so ancient times, maybe a few hundred years ago from today, white rice actually used to be something preserved for the more wealthy. It was actually a status symbol, and all the wealthy people in Japan could afford it, and the farmers and the less wealthy people were left with brown rice. So now that you know white rice used to be a status symbol for the wealthy in Japan, similar to the way meat could be a status symbol for certain countries in Asia. Now that you know the differences between what makes white rice different from brown rice in terms of the structure, let's talk about 5 facts that you'll want to know to really understand what the differences are between the 2 grains and which one's healthier. So here are some of the things that you can consider next time you're at the supermarket or thinking about buying some rice because you ran out and you can't decide if you're going to get brown rice or white rice. So the first is going to be fiber. If you remember in my Otsukemono video, the pickle video that I did earlier, we talked a little bit about 2 different types of fiber, soluble and insoluble. Brown rice, being a whole grain, contains a little bit more of the insoluble type, which is going to be the type that does not absorb water. It tends to be bulky. And so if you can think of insoluble fiber in your intestines or your guts, you can think of it as like punching its way through and making space for itself. It works in conjunction or together with soluble fiber to benefit you in terms of your digestion, potentially helping to mediate some of your glucose spikes. If you are diabetic, for example, you may be familiar with foods that have a lower glycemic index, meaning that they're going to be less likely to spike your blood sugars, and those tend to be things that have fiber or protein, just like brown rice. In addition to those benefits of decreasing cholesterol potentially, helping to mediate your blood sugars, keep them in balance, it also may help to decrease certain types of cancer, especially colon or rectal cancer, for example, and it also helps more of an immediate effect in terms of making you feel satiated or full. And that is important because you want to pay attention to your body when it's telling you you're full so that you don't overeat. The second benefit that brown rice has over white rice is that it is a source of protein. It has a little bit more protein, just a little bit, but a little is better than none at all, and every little bit makes a difference, and having a little bit more protein may help you to feel a little bit more satiated or full earlier. And it's definitely a little bit more filling than just eating straight white rice. And like I mentioned before, due to the fiber, so the third thing, in addition to the protein, is because of the fiber content as well as the protein content, both of those together help to prevent your blood sugars from spiking, help to decrease the likelihood that you're going to be getting a food coma because your body is overloaded from all the carbohydrates or sugars from white rice. Even though brown rice may have a little bit more calories, and this might surprise you because brown rice, if you've ever looked at the nutrition labels in terms of servings and calories per servings, brown rice usually has a little bit more calories per serving than white rice, but that calorie difference is offset by the effects of both protein and fiber. Pretty cool. And overall, it's just a more nutrient-dense food. And speaking of nutrient density, it does also contain a few more vitamins and minerals as compared to white rice, thus making it more nutritious, and hence the word nutrient-dense. And the fifth fact or difference is that brown rice is going to be more flavorful. Now, you could argue with me on this one, and I'm totally open to hearing your thoughts and opinions. Leave them in the comments below. So brown rice tends to have a little bit better flavor. It's a little bit earthier, it's a little bit more nutty, and the texture is a little bit more firm. So if those are the things that you're going for, you might enjoy brown rice a little bit more than white rice if you've never had them before. But if you've had both of them before, chances are you already have a preconceived notion of the way that they taste and what your preferences are. And yes, white rice, if you have good quality white rice that has just been freshly harvested, it can be very aromatic and very flavorful and have a very nice texture. That's why I said at the very beginning of this fifth difference is that you could argue with me, and who knows, maybe both of us could be right. And as you may know, there may be certain foods that may go better with brown rice versus white rice, and some of that can be just personal preference. So the bonus difference between these two rices, rices? Is it rice or rices? You let me know in the comments. Is that brown rice is a whole food plant-based food. And if you're familiar with what whole food plant-based foods are, or WFPB, diets or nutrition, that topic, then you may know that brown rice, whole grains, and the like are things that you want to eat for health purposes, health benefits. And if you're totally new to plant-based foods, no worries. Make sure to check out the link in the description to get access to some of my training programs on plant-based Japanese food. Before we go, please keep in mind, just because something is plant-based does not mean that it's healthy. Educate yourself and consider joining one of my programs linked in the description below. So I'm curious, what stood out to you most? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know also if I missed anything, and perhaps you can get some inspiration or recipes for how to use brown rice in your Japanese cooking in my new cookbook, linked in the description. Oh yeah, and I guess before we wrap up, in the next video, we're going to be talking about miso soup, miso shiru. Miso soup is one of my favorite ways to enjoy Japanese food at home, and chances are it might be one of yours as well. And if you haven't tried making it at home yet, we're going to be talking about a few things you must know before you do so. Chances are maybe it'll help your experience be a lot more memorable next time you make it. So in the meantime, make sure to check out this video if you haven't seen it already. Check out the links in the description below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video so that more people like you will experience it and view it, and it'll also help my channel grow. Thank you in advance for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye. I don't know if white rice is still a status symbol. White rice can be relatively expensive as compared to brown rice, at least from what I have seen. I don't think it's a status symbol, at least as it used to be. I tend to enjoy my white rice still, not as much as I used to. I try to eat a little bit less of it. Mostly brown rice is what I try to use today from a health perspective, trying to be a little bit healthier.